Hey guys, EC Network here, coming at you with another video. I recently saw Diary of a Wimpy Kid Cabin Fever on Disney+, and I wanted to give you guys not only my thoughts on the movie, but I also wanted to discuss the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie franchise as a whole, and where I think they could go next based on what happened in this movie. Usually with these videos I do get into spoiler territory, but with this one I'm going to keep it spoiler free, so if you guys haven't seen Cabin Fever yet, you're safe from any spoilers. Before we get into this movie specifically, I just want to give a quick rundown of the history of Diary of a Wimpy Kid when it comes to movie releases. They started out in the early 2010s doing live action theatrical releases for the franchise, with the first movie being Diary of a Wimpy Kid based on the original book. Then they had Roderick Rules come out, which is based on the book of its name but also had some Last Straw content in it. Then they had Diary of a Wimpy Kid Dog Days being the third movie, and that was based on not only Dog Days, the namesake of the movie, but also parts of The Last Straw as well. Then they kind of did a little bit of a reboot to the live action franchise 5 years later with a brand new cast titled The Long Haul, and it was based on the book of its namesake, also Old School, Hard Luck, and The Third Wheel. And after that, I think that The Long Haul, just in general, if you watch the movie, it's not really a great movie. Like, the original three Diary of a Kid movies, in my opinion, are fantastic. I love those movies, and the fourth one's kind of so bad that it's good and funny, if that makes sense. It's not a great movie. So anyways, because of this, Fox stopped making Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, and when Disney bought Fox, they revived the movie franchise, but this time in the form of animated adaptations. And the first one was Diary of a Wimpy Kid based on the original book, the second was Roderick Rules based on the book of its namesake, and the third one, which just came out, was titled Cabin Fever based on the sixth book in the franchise, which is also titled Cabin Fever. I made a video about this when the movie first came out. I did not care for the first Wimpy Kid animated movie. I just thought it wasn't great. There was a lot of content missing from it. It felt like it needed to be longer, and I didn't make a video talking about Roderick Rules last year, but I thought it was better than the first movie, but still wasn't amazing. Now, coming off of seeing Cabin Fever the other night, I actually thought that Cabin Fever was an excellent movie. I felt like it was so good and I really enjoyed it. Obviously, whenever you adapt a book into a movie, there are some things that are changed from it. So while yes, Cabin Fever does change the plot of the original book in some ways, I still thought that it was all so well done, and overall, I really thought it was a fantastic movie, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from the Wimpy Kid animated universe. And you might be saying to yourself, DC Network, what made this movie so much better than the first two animated films that Disney has made? And to answer that question, I don't really have a straight answer for you. I mean, the things I can speculate on is it's more fleshed out in this movie and they actually fit it into the hour runtime better than the first two films do, because the first film, there was just so much missing from it. It felt like it was just uninteresting. There were a lot of characters that weren't in the film that were in the live action films and were in the books. And the second movie, I think, did a better job at adapting Roderick Rules into animated form, and this one just did a great job. And I think part of it is, and this is where I want to discuss the future of this movie franchise, is I think that part of why this movie was so much better than the first two is because there's nothing to compare it to in the movie landscape. Now, what I mean by this is the first Wimpy Kid film has a live action counterpart that was miles ahead better than the animated movie. Roderick Rules has a live action counterpart, which again is miles ahead better than the animated counterpart. The fact that they skipped The Last Straw and they skipped Dog Days and went straight to Cabin Fever, I think was very smart, because there's nothing to really compare it to. You're watching, of course you can compare it to the books, but you're watching something that was never adapted into live action, so there's nothing that's kind of just overshadowing it, so to speak, if that makes sense. Fair or not fair, that's kind of the issue you run into when you adapt a live action or animated movie into a new counterpart. For example, like when you have Disney doing the Lion King, the Little Mermaid, they're adapting those animated films into live action, people are always going to compare it to the original work. And I think that's part of the issue that the first two Wimpy Kid animated films ran into. So I think that it's smart they skipped the last straw on Dog Days and went to something that we've never seen before. Not to mention, Cabin Fever was actually supposed to come out as a 30-minute animated film, or animated special, I should say, on Fox, and it got canceled. So it's kind of cool to see that, you know, almost a decade later, 9 years later, they actually finished it. It came to fruition in the form of this special on Disney Plus. But nevertheless, what I think they should do going forward with the Wimpy Kid animated film franchise is I think they should just do movies based on books they haven't covered yet in any other, you know, live action medium or live action film. So for example, they've never covered The Ugly Truth, the 5th book in the franchise. They should make a movie maybe on that. They covered, as I said before, The Third Wheel, Hard Luck, The Long Haul, and Old School in the Long Haul movie, which to me it's kind of strange that they crammed 4 books into one movie. I think it was kind of just Jeff Kinney and the producers at Fox were kind of trying to squeeze as much as they can into one film because the cast got older with the original film, and that's why they rebooted it and recast it to begin with, to have a younger actor playing Greg Heffley, which is a whole nother story for another day. I think we talked about that a long time ago in another video, but nevertheless, they haven't done a movie on Double Down, The Getaway, The Meltdown, Wrecking Ball, The Deep End, Big Shot, Diaper Overload, or No Brainer. The latter two are, you know, the most recent books, so I would say they probably shouldn't touch on that yet. Those are just so new still that, you know, a lot of people may not have read that, and you don't want it to hurt the book sales and whatnot. But something like The Getaway or Double Down, those came out all the way back in 2016 and 2017 respectively. I don't see a reason why they couldn't make an animated film based on those books. Even if you want to go back, like, look, I know I said The Long Haul covered 4 different books in the Wimpy Kid franchise. Obviously they didn't flesh them out as much as they could have if they got their own movie, but something like The Third Wheel, I feel like they made this, you know, the marketing behind Cabin Fever was that, oh, it's this big Christmas special, right, for Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It's this huge Christmas special. They could do Third Wheel as this Valentine's Day special, because the premise of that book is Greg's trying to get a date for the Valentine's Day dance at his school. I think that would be something fun to see, even though they did adapt some of that into the Long Haul movie. But nevertheless, I think that going forward, what they should do with the Wimpy Kid animated franchise is, I know Jeff Kinney said that he wants to get every single book adapted into an animated film, and while I think it would be cool to have a collection of Wimpy Kid animated movies to cover every single book, unfortunately the reality of the situation is that I feel like the movie franchise would be canceled before that happens. Right now there are 17 or 18 books, and it would take them basically the next 15 to 20 years to catch up to the current books that are out now. But the thing is every year there's a new Wimpy Kid book coming out, so they would never really catch up. And I feel like by the time, I don't think we're going to get 5 to 10 years more worth of these films. They're making 1 film a year. I don't think we're going to get 10 more films. I'll be straight with you guys. I think Disney's going to cancel it before that happens. So I feel like for the time being, they should just focus on making books into films that they haven't done before in the live action theatrical versions, because there's nothing to compare it to, like I said. And I think that Cabin Fever was just a better quality product than Roderick Rules and the original Wimpy Kid animated film, where, and like I said, fair or not fair, there's always going to be that comparison to how does this animated adaptation compare to the live action adaptation. And in my opinion, they're never going to make an animated adaptation that is better than those live action films, at least the first 3, because those are really, really good. Anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about all this. Have you guys checked out Cabin Fever or the prior 2 Wimpy Kid animated films? And if you did, let me know what you think about them in the comment section below. And also let me know how you think they should handle the Wimpy Kid animated film franchise going forward. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Let me know in the comment section. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from DC Network. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.